Wilson Morales, Black from TV. Now, I've known you guys obviously from get-go when each of you were on the shows. What's it like, even though you guys have gone on to do other projects and continue to work, to know that people are still remembering this show 20 years later? Jamie?
Oh, man, Wilson, man, it's great. You know, it's a wonderful experience. It feels great. You know, not only that people are remembering it, but the relationships that we nurtured on these shows with the actors in front and behind the camera still here, right? And the show is still doing what it's doing. I'm bumping into kids that are like 20, 21 years old. They're talking about they just watched the season of The Wire, you know? And then, you know, it's like, you know, when you have a music artist that, like, let's just say LL Cool J, his fans grew up with him. Then you're meeting people at your peer level age that's just like, man, I just watched the season again. I watched it when it first came out. So it's a wonderful feeling, man.
What about you, Andre?
I think it's great, man. I think it's a testament. You know, it's really more of a test since we did it, and we you know we went through it, and we went through the whole gambit of it being a small show under the umbrella of HBO with Sopranos, Sex and the City, 6 Feet Under. You know, to not being recognized at certain points, to all of a sudden being called the greatest show or one of the greatest shows ever. You know, it's really a testament to the audience. The audience is the ones that look at it and go, oh shit, they were telling the truth. Or this was really authentic. Or they were talking about this back then. And these actors that we see now, they came from here and they were putting in work. So, you know, it's just a shout out to the audience for recognizing, you know, good storytelling, good acting, and wanting to talk about it and wanting to celebrate it, you know, as much as they do. I think at some point, The Wire, I think after the 4th season, it became this type of show that you wasn't hanging out with motherfuckers that didn't watch the show. You thought there was something wrong with them. Or they were, you know, they didn't have enough humility or humanity if they didn't want to watch the show. So people started passing around as, you know, as testers of what kind of person are you if you didn't see the show. So kudos to you guys.
You know, it's as you mentioned, it's all about the cast and the talent. The fact that each of you were able to go and get work afterwards. For a lot of you, most of you weren't known. And so, you know, when they see that each of you have gone on to work, and then they see this was the ingredient that started a lot of careers, you know, that's why we can still talk about it 20 years later. If a lot, you know, there's a lot of shows out there that because the cast never went anywhere, nobody talks about it. You know, it doesn't get played. And, you know, credit to the cast, credit to HBO, you know, obviously a long-standing network, people can play that. Now, because of the roles that you played, when you left the show, were you afraid to be typecast? You know, how did that affect the roles that you got after the show? Jamie?
Oh, well, you know, always was afraid to be typecast at the beginning, but I'd rather be typecast than no cast, right? But then it was a point that you sit down with your team and you're like, we're going to have to strategically figure out how to enter this game and turn some things down and say yes to some things that we probably would have not said yes to. Only because, one, I'm a part of a show that is amazing, surrounded by great talent. Two, playing a character that most people would want to pay me to play again, right? I mean, Soprano, they would want to pay me to play that again because clearly it worked. It worked, right? Bubbles worked. Chief Irving worked. So it's like, okay, if it worked over here and this show is doing so well, it might work over here for us and generate some capital, right? But for us, for me, it was just like, look, man, I got to figure out how to shift this thing and be a part of something as great, maybe a different character. So we were pushing in that direction. So, and then we landed several other shows, but then we landed Bosch.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Andre? Obviously, you know, you played the hell out of Bubbles, but you've gone on to do different things. I remember the award you won at South by Southwest a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. You know, how did this role of Bubbles shape your career?
Well, you know, for me, it shaped my career just on the impact of doing the job and seeing how people responded to my character validated me and validated the confidence that I know what I'm doing, that I know how to put the work in, respect the work. As far as the artist, it was a little harder for me because you got to remember, like David Simon at that point was known for, or the show was known for using real people. And since you hadn't seen me, motherfuckers thought I was a real junkie. Like they just thought, you know, I had a good job right now. Don't fuck it up. You know, so when I got to LA, you know, a lot of people would just thought I was, you know, people really had the idea that they rather see that Bubbles is now trying to do Hollywood rather than an actor play Bubbles. The better storyline is now Bubbles is becoming an actor. Let's see how far he can take it. And for my mom and dad, they weren't happy about that. They were like, our son's not a junkie. He's an actor. He does theater. So it was a little hard for me to get out of that space. And, you know, Hollywood was not, there wasn't 500 channels. Hollywood was not writing, you know, for Jamie and Idris and Mike. If you play this drug dealer of merit and weight, it's not easy, but they can then see you as a general or as a cop or as another leader, a galvanizer of men. When you play a junkie, they don't know if you could be a love interest next time, or they don't know if you can play somebody of that same kind of weight in a different thing. But all the doors were open. Like Wendell Pierce said it best at the end of the season finale of the 5th season, because we did The Wire, we will always have that in our repertoire that always will say something about who we are as artists. So anything outside of that is, you know, it's up to you. Whether you're chasing the money or chasing the character, it's up to you.
Before I let you go, if The Wire were to be played today, brand new, would Marlo be afraid? Would Marlo be a character where people would be afraid of?
Yeah, you know what? I think in any area of business, he is who he is. So if he's in corporate America, he would be just that, right? Whatever area of business I think he would tackle is who he would be. He lost the team. They were all locked up. He would definitely generate a high level of respect wherever he was.
Marlo B, I tell everybody, Marlo B in the music business, he'd be like Birdman or Master P. You still scared of them motherfuckers. You respect them. They got the business. But Marlo will be out there running the music industry like Dame Dash.
Either way, you know, it's good talking to you guys. Like I said, it's always appreciative that you guys are still continuing to do work, different areas, different skill sets, you know, 20 years, hey, people come back 25, 30 years down the road. And no matter what, we can talk about the other shows you guys have been on and let that grow as well.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, my man.
Wilson, take care, man.